Hello YouTube, Canadian Edge here, and we are going to do a knife review. And the knife that we have with us today, it is from Sencut, and it's called the Watauga. And this knife, it boasts a blade length of 3.48 inches, open at 7.99 inches, and closed it is 4.51 inches. The steel on this, it is a D2 steel, so should hold an edge fairly well. It has the Wharncliffe blade, as you can see, and the weight of this is 3.69 ounces. The handle, it is G10 with stainless steel liners that are black, and the pocket clip on this, it is reversible. So lefties, you can carry this, and it is tip up and deep carry, which is the preferred method for most people. They like to have the tip up. It is a button lock, which makes me very happy. I like the button lock on the knives. Flipper opening, so it has the flipper back here, which does have some jimping on it. And you can also, it does have a nail nick. I don't think you'd call that a fuller, at least not in my books. So I'm going to call it a nail nick, and you can do the reverse flick with that. So two ways of opening that, or you can just flip it with the button lock. So three ways of opening this knife, but the major one is the flipper. It does have the cage ceramic ball bearing pivot, and you can see that the pivot works quite well. It opens and closes very smoothly, which is nice too. And I mentioned it does have jimping on the back of the blade, which also makes me happy. I like jimping. Mentioned the nail nick. It gives it a little bit of aesthetics and also allows for the flick. So this knife, it is ambidextrous, with the pocket clip being reversible. You can do it left-handed, and I actually find that the button locks work great. I don't know if you're left-handed, let me know when you got a button lock, because you just press with the finger and close. So find it easy to work the button lock as well left-handed. You could put a lanyard on this. I don't know if you can see that or not, but there is the spacer back here, which you've got two other spacers, so it does allow for a lanyard to be at the back should you want to put a lanyard on. And it is pretty much centered, slightly to the right. That can be fixed if a person wants to, but it's close enough for my liking that I don't worry about it. And the blade play, there is zero blade play, up and down, left and right. It sits in there nice and solid, which is also a plus. Gotta like that. All right, let's take a look at size comparisons. We have the Ontario Rat 2. So you can see this is a somewhat bigger knife. We've got the Bug Out from Benchmade. And so, yeah, there's a little bit of size difference there. And I'll grab a couple of the bigger knives. And also from Sencut is the Saxy. And you can see it's even got a little length on the Saxy. And the Cogent from Civivi. And so it has a little length. They're pretty close to the same size though. So they're all going to be fairly close in that size comparison. And for a sharpness test, let's see what this does. So D2, maybe not the super easiest to sharpen. It's not horrible. I've sharpened a couple of them, and you can sharpen them, but they do hold an edge for a while, which is good. Let's see how this does with the zip tie. No problem going through the zip tie. Actually, this blade style, it kind of lends itself to things like zip ties and cutting. It's supposed to be a paracord. It's not really paracord. It's dollar store paracord. And through the garden twine, it cuts easily enough. So you see it does have a good edge on it, comes nice and sharp. And this knife, I carried it there for a little while and the last couple weeks, and found that for me the most useful part of it was boxes. This is a great box cutter because you can grip up, and if you're trying to be careful with the box, you've got control. If you're not worried about the box, you can just slice the tape and it works great. So I found, you know, it opens packages and everything like that, but I found it really handy for box cutting. So if you work in a warehouse or something like that, you might want to consider a knife like this because it does work good for boxes. Okay. The things that I really liked about this, the aesthetics are pretty decent on it. The Wharncliffe blade, I think the nail nick there gives a nice little touch to the blade just to break up maybe a more generic look. The handle, you know, nothing too fancy, but it does have some style to it, and they beveled the edges on it, so it sits nice in the hand there. And so aesthetically, you know, if you like Wharncliffe style knives, this one's pretty decent. It definitely has the Wharncliffe, and you got the swedges up on the top here of the blade, so it just gives it a bit of a nice look. Yeah, so aesthetically it's not too bad. Ergonomics, fits good in the hand. I like the way it fits. Like I say, you got the choil up here. I forgot to mention the choil, but it does have a choil there. Allows you to choke up on the blade so that you get, if you're shaving things, this would probably be a good camp knife too. You know, trying to be more controlled in what you're doing. It gives you that opportunity, and the jimping there is nice because it's not super aggressive jimping, but it's enough that it gives you a grip and allows you to have some more control of the knife. The pivot on it, it's quite smooth. Not as maybe as smooth as some of the more expensive knives like the Cogent here has a more smoother, but you're going to pay more for this knife as well. But as far as, you know, what the price on this was, what was the price on this? I think it was like $60 or something, $50 mark Canadian. Pivot's great. I've had no problem with the pivot. Worked great out of the box. Put a little bit of pivot lubrication on it, and it's been working. No worries on that. So good smooth pivot, and you can see, as I mentioned too earlier, that it's pretty much drop close. Well, it is drop close, but that happens a lot with the button locks. So like the button lock, you don't have to press real hard to get the button lock to engage. I have used some button locks that you got to really push them down to get them to engage or disengage the blade. And so this button lock, it is quite smooth, no issues with that. And it does fit in the pocket very well. It you know, it comes out a bit here, but you don't really notice it in the pocket. It doesn't feel like a bulky knife in your pocket, at least not for me. Had no issues carrying it, and yeah, I thought it was a pretty decent knife. So about the only real complaint I had in regards to this knife is my typical complaint with the pocket clip. They've got the raised pocket clip. I wish they would make them flush. It is wear and tear on the pocket, and I don't know if it costs that much more to make them flush, but knife companies, if you're out there, a lot of people do want them pocket clip flush with the scales so that it reduces the wear and tear on the pocket. But that could be just me. Tell me if you're one of those people that you prefer the flush pocket clip or not. And so I did, as I say, I carried this for a little while, and I opened some packages with it. Really liked opening boxes with it. The design of it, it allows you to puncture the box and then pull down and cut the tape quite easily. As I say, you could probably use this good as a camp knife if you're making kindling or something for the fire. It would work well for that. It's, in my books, it's would be a good everyday carry. This won't be one that I carry as an everyday carry knife. I prefer different blade style to the Wharncliffe, but it's definitely a knife I wouldn't feel bad carrying and using. And Sencut are, if you're not familiar with Sencut, they are part of the Civivi WE lineup. You got Sencut, you got Civivi, and then WE is their top brand, the expensive brand. And they make a great knife. I really enjoyed the Civivi knives that I have. I've had no issues with any of them. They all work well. And the Sencut as well. I have 3 or 4 of the Sencut knives and no issues with them. So if you're looking for a budget knife that's well built, and it feels good in the hand too, that's one of the things that I really like. Like, I've held the other $50 knives that different companies have made, and they're just something, they feel slightly cheap, some of them. But I've never had that with any of the Sencut knives. And as I say, they're a good budget knife. The parts all work. It's nice fit and finish on them. And I don't feel bad spending $50, $60 on a Sencut knife. And they work, as I say, they work really nice. So this is the Sencut Watauga, which is a hard name to pronounce. Apparently it means, what is it? Valley of Springs or something like that. I don't know if it's a Cherokee word or I forget. I did read about it, but I think it's called Valley of Springs. Anyway, I digress. You can look that up yourself if you really want to know what that means. But definitely would recommend this for an everyday carry, especially somebody working around packaging, and that you probably find this to be a very useful and helpful knife. And they seem to be well built. So Sencut Watauga, check them out. Check out the other Sencut lineup of knives and see what you think. That's going to do it for this review. Thank you for joining me. Hit the like, hit subscribe, leave me a comment. I will get back to you. I have other unboxings and reviews coming up, so watch for those, and we'll do this all again. But until then, you stay safe and stay sharp.